Everyone, welcome back. We are in MB 820 Dynamics 365 Business Central Developer Certification. So we are preparing for this exam and we are in module 26. So what is that module 26? We are learning about API in Business Central, and here we have I have discussed about how to create an Entra ID and connect through Business Central and get the response with the help of a postman. So in this video we will understand the theoretical part. Okay, so this is the second part of module 26, that is work with API in Dynamics 365 Business Central. We will understand the limitations, what is API basically, how the Microsoft the Dynamics 365 API is created with, okay, what are the limitations and everything. So this is my channel. If you haven't subscribed yet, please go and subscribe now, and we will be discussing about Microsoft MBA 20 exam. You are learning this exam with me, and you can find the complete tutorial here. So already I have discussed a lot of topics in Business Central BC tutorial technical consultant. You can find it here. So I'll be covering the modules which I haven't covered in these playlist. Okay, because a lot of topics which are new, I wanted to cover that. So you can that is why I'm just going in a reverse order. Okay, so the basics, the first few modules talks about the basics. So what is Dynamics 365 trial, what is Business Central, so that you can already find it in my first few videos. Okay, both in Business Central technical consultant tutorial as well as in functional consultant tutorial, introduction to Business Central, what are the function responsibilities and everything. So here I will just cover the basics, that I'll cover the topic which haven't covered so far and new which is not covered in the playlist, and then I will move on to the other topics as well. And this is like this is the topmet account. If you wanted to connect with me through to solve any issues, or if you wanted to have a 1:1 mentorship, you can schedule a call with me here. And here you can find the ebooks for the preparation. Okay, so this is a 21 days challenge, 21 days AL programming challenge, and this is interview question answers for functional, interview question answers for technical part 1, and this is for Business Central developer, this is a checklist for functional consultant, and this is for techno functional consultant. So if you wanted, the links are provided in the description, you can find it there. So let us go to the topic. I'll be talking about the introduction to API. So API, what is API? Application Programming Interface. We'll be understanding the complete introduction to API. So Microsoft Graph enables integration of web services or SaaS, that is software as a solution, with Dynamics 365 Business Central, offering authorized access and seamless integration with Microsoft products via single endpoint. So you can connect apps, facilitate point-to-point connections between Business Central and other services using REST API for data exchange. These can be developed with any programming language capable of calling REST APIs. So Business Central supports an API system in addition to OData and SOAP web services recommended for connecting and integrating applications. The Business Central API permits reading and modifying business data, like accessing customer vendor information or updating sales order or viewing overdue payments through a unified endpoint. It employs standard REST, and that is REST, and supports OData for query results, allowing the use of OData query options. Unlike OData web services, the API requires the creation of specific pages and queries for its use, as API objects are designed exclusive for API interaction. So as I told, you can already find the videos for API REST, what is SOAP. You can find for SOAP, what is SOAP, what is the difference between SOAP API and OData, when to use SOAP, when to use OData, everything in this tutorial. Business Central BC Technical Consultant, there is a 69th video. Okay, so here you can already find it, so I'm not going so deep into these two comparisons. So let us understand how to access API in Business Central. So to develop API in Business Central, connection and authentication are required. So APIs in Business Central are automatically enabled. So In the previous video I have told you like how to connect and authenticate with the secret value and secret id and the value, and endpoint we have created an endpoint and everything that you can find it. So Microsoft Graph or the common endpoint services can be used for connection utilizing Microsoft Entra ID for authentication. So OAuth authentication mechanism need to be set up for Microsoft Entra ID, that is we have discussed in the previous video. So Microsoft Graph endpoint, that is this is what the link like https graph microsoft.com. So this is the link. Okay, this is the Microsoft Graph endpoint and this is Business Central common endpoint, where this is the common thing. Version is fine, and environment name you have to assign your environment name. I already discussed like where to find the environment name and API. So this is how to access the Business Central. And tips for working with API: use get on the endpoint to retrieve a list of all available APIs. So I have told with the Postman. So please go and watch the previous part one, which is how to establish, how to use Entra ID, how to create the credentials, and how to connect with the endpoint. Please go and watch that. So you can you can append that is dollar metadata to your get request to obtain all list of APIs along with their metadata. You can utilize dollar filter, that is to get the request to apply O data filter expression. So each resource is identified by a unique ID. So to read or modify a resource or its children, include the resource ID in the URL after the API endpoint closed in the parenthesis. So resources are basically organized under a parent, and the inclusion of the company ID in all the resource API calls is important. This is very important topic. Work with API limits, this is very very important. This you can definitely expect in MBA 20 exam. I am not a question paper setter, but I just wanted to tell you that because being a trainer I can definitely understand, okay, this is the point where you can get the question. Okay, so here you can find that this is a sandbox environment. So there are API limits for everything. So for sandbox environment, maximum of 300 requests per minute. Okay, 300 requests per minute is allowed per minute. And in production environment you have maximum of 600 requests per minute. Okay, and timeout for request, that is a request ending exceeding 10 minutes will timeout. Okay, request exceeding 10 minutes will assume to be timeout. Simultaneous request limit is up to 100 simultaneous request. And what is the page entity? The page can contain up to 20,000 entities. This is very very important. Okay, page entities should be 20,000, and operation timeout will be like 8 minutes. Okay, operation timeouts, that is complete operation timeout. This is timeout for request is 10 minutes and operation timeout is 8 minutes. So sandbox environment is 300 requests per minute, production environment 600 requests per minute, simultaneous request limit is what 100, and page entity limit is what 20,000 entities. Other than this, you should understand some strategies to optimize API call and performance. So you have to convert the solution from pull to push model to receive updates via push message when entities are modified, reducing the need to check the changes frequently. Second one is combine multiple operations into a single call to minimize the number of API calls. The third important one is what use the filter O data expression to limit the number of entities you are getting back, making the data retrieval more sufficient and efficient. And retrieve related entities in one request using the expand O data filter expression, reducing the total number of calls. And when posting data, especially for creating new entities like sales orders, use deep inserts to send all related details in one post request, streamlining the creation process. Okay, so these are the important thing which you should know when creating when working with API. And finally, create new APIs. So you can create a new API in Business Central by creating either a page. You can create a page type or a query. Okay, I have already discussed about these in my playlist. You can check that. So unlike a regular OData web services, API pages can be created for API calls only and don't need to be published. They become available upon deploying your extension. So to create an API page, utilizing the T page snippet and set the page type property to API, adjusting the property like API version, you have to add the API version, API publisher, API group, entity names, entity set name, delayed insert, and OData key field for the specific needs. So API version supports versions like beta, V1.0, V1.1 up to V2.0, allowing multiple versions of the same API to coexist. API publisher specifies the company name that created the APIs used in the URL for API connection. API group logically groups APIs also used in the URL. Okay, so these are the few things which you should understand, and we will learn. So in the next video, this is the part 3 video, we will understand about API and OData bound actions. Okay, what is bound action, what is unbound action, in which scenario you have to go with the bounding action, and in which scenario you have to go with an unbound action. So with the part 3 of API, we will complete this module, that is module 26. This is what the module 26, which is working with APIs in Business Central. So then we will just move on to another module. I just wanted to go in the reverse order because that is where we have to just cover. Okay, we will go in a reverse order. We have a lot of topics to cover, and then we will see the basic thing. Thank you. Take care and bye bye. I'll see you soon in the next video.